Suppose say that in any data set, right? When we are working with a client and all, so we used to get a data set which will have some kind of a date format, right? Obviously, a date is one of the important factor for any most of the business use cases, right? So when we get the dates, so how are we going to manipulate it? So date will be something like it could be DD, MM, YY, or it could be DD, YY, right? So it could be any format. So how are we going to treat this date, right? So because we see here, so this dash, right? So basically these are not either an integer or a float, right? So they are some kind of a objects. They are some kind of a string, we can say. So how are we going to extract only the dates, months, and years? So let's discuss on this topic how we are going to deal with this kind of dates. All right. Concept is very simple. So first of all, I'm going to import a NumPy as usual and also pandas. So I'm going to use a NumPy for some reason, and we'll see that how we can work it out. All right. So let's execute and import these necessary libraries. All right. Now, before getting into the date extraction or month extraction, year extraction, let's create some dates, right? Right now, we don't have a date set, so we can create some date range. How we can do that? So I'm going to use this pandas. So there is a method called date underscore range. Date underscore range. So here, if we look into these parameters, so this is basically what I'm saying, 4/12/2021. It means that starting from this date, start date. So I can say start month, starting year, starting date. So we will see that how we can interpret this based on different parameters, right? We'll talk about the parameters as well. So fine, I'm going to start from this date. So how many dates we want? How many dates we want? Yes, we can start from here, but when we should stop? Is it like a continue up to 2025 years, up to that year, or how many numbers? So basically there is a parameter called periods. So this is the starting date, comma. So how many periods we want? We want 6, right? So periods equal to 6. So you can keep any number here. So we'll change and play around with that, right? So let's finish the basic one. Then we'll look into adjusting these parameters, and also we'll introduce one more parameter. We'll talk about that. So yes, I want date from this date, and I need a 6 periods. So the whole thing I'm going to instantiate in one of the object, right? So I will keep this object. Now what I'm going to do, I will say pandas.dataframe. Pandas.dataframe. So why? I need to convert something. So what I'm going to convert, I will take this date. I will take this date range, whichever is going to generate here. And then I'm going to give a column name. So how can we give our own column name? We can have this columns parameter. So you can give any name, your wish, right? Because here we are not basically getting any file here. We are generating our own data. Because of that, we don't get any header or a column names. So for that, we are creating our own column names. How do I create? With this parameter columns equal to, since we are generating only one set of a data, so I'm giving only one column. All right. We will see if there are multiple columns. So the idea is simple. So I'm just going to say columns equal to A, comma B, comma C. So if you have 3 columns, you can pass these column names in the list. That simple it is. All right. I'm going to take this date range and give a column name, and whole thing I'm going to convert into data frame. Right? So let's execute this. Now check the dates. So this is basically what I'm going to get. Here it says that, okay, so starting from 12, right? So here the idea is this is month, day, and year. In this format, we have this one, right? So starting from 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. Month remains same. And how many periods we have? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, obvious question is that, okay, if I want to create a date range where I want to increment only the month or only the year, obvious, right? So how am I going to do that? So for that, we have a parameter called frequency, F for EQ, F for EQ. So here I'm going to mention, say, M. Frequency equal to M. So let's execute this. I'm not going to change anything here. I'm just going to add a new parameter. Earlier, we did not have a frequency equal to M because of that, it is taking its default value. Default value is basically day. So as you can see here, so dates are increased, nothing else. So I'm going to change that parameter to M. So let's execute this. And again, I'm going to print this. Now you can see that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you may be wondering, so why these dates are changed? So whenever you are creating a date range, which is in terms of like a frequency equal to M, so it ignores what date you are going to give. So it will give last date of that month. So for April, so 30 is the last day. For May, 31, 30, and so on and so forth. You can increase the number of these periods. Suppose I'm going to say 12, right? Let's keep that and execute and check this. So what happens as soon as it finish 12th month, it will move to the next year, right? One you can see 2022. So that's how it continues. Similarly, you can change this to year as well. Why? As simple as that. So let's execute this. And you can see now, when I have a frequency equal to Y, it will ignore a day, a month and a day. So it will keep the last month and that particular last month's last date. And only the year will keep changing. So that's how it is going to generate the numbers, sorry, the dates, right? Idea is very simple here. So yes, let me repeat. So this is the starting date and how many periods you want, and you want to increment in terms of a day or a year or in terms of a month, so that you can choose based on your requirement. So the way to change it, frequency equal to Y, M, or D. So D is a default. You don't need to give frequency equal to D. By default, it will take a D. And yes, this is basically whatever the date or the name you want to give for the column name, you can give that over here. That's about a date range function here. Now we have this type of a date format. So how will I extract day, month, and year? So we have methods like, so what is this? So I'm going to create a new column. New column. So the dates is what? Our data frame, right? Our data frame. In that I'm going to create a new column. Why? Because I want to keep only days, only dates, not month or year. So fine, this is a new column. Then, so in this column, I want to save the day. Okay, then dates is our data frame and select the date. So this is our column name. So this is the column name which I have given. In that column name, what you can do, dt dot day. Pandas will understand that one. dt dot day. So only day will be extracted and will be stored in this particular column. Similarly, I'm selecting the dates column here. Then I will say dot dt dot, I want only month. Only month's data will be stored in the new column. Here again I'm creating a new column because I want this type. Okay, so right now I have something like this: 2021, 12, 31, right? So I wanted to separate all the dates, month and year, right? So this is how I want: 31, 12, 20, 21. You can see here our dates changed. I mean, I'm basically extracting all respective data into this particular column. So date, month and year. So the same thing I'm trying to do. Day created, one new column, month also have created, and year also have created. Similarly, extracting respective data, respective dates. So that is what I'm trying to do here. Let's execute this. Now you can see that the whole date, complete date has been extracted in day, month and year. So now I can work on this. Because with this kind of a format, you will not be able to work on any kind of a, I can say you cannot do any operations because this is not a integer. This is not some kind of a format that we can work on. So we have to extract. So again, it depends upon the requirement where you don't need to touch dates. So you don't need to do these things. If at all you want to work on either a day or a month or a year, so that time you have to keep them in a different or a new column, then access particular column if you want to work on any kind of a requirement. So that is basically how we will be able to extract dates, month or year. But it's not at all complicated. dt dot day, and before that, yes, you have to have your data set and particular column, right? Now let's try to work on something different here. So same thing I'm trying to do here. Date range, so this is the starting date and how many periods? 7, right? The whole thing is stored in this dates. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this dates. This is going to generate 1, 2000, 1, 2, 2000, because it's a frequency equal to day by default. So this is how it is going to generate. So I will take this. So I'm going to keep this dates as an index. You need to understand here what happened in this case. Indexes have been created by itself. Obviously it will create, it starts from 0, and you don't want these indexes. You want to keep your own indexes. Yes, you can do that. Index is one of the parameter. So there you can give your index. So this index, I'm keeping this dates as an index. Fine. So now I'm generating some numbers here. We know what is np.arange. So I want to generate 7 numbers. So it starts from 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 6. The whole thing I'm going to convert into a series. Whole thing I'm going to convert into series. Then I'm going to print that. So here you can see. So this is the dates we generated, and we have taken that dates and kept it as an index. So you can see these are the indexes. And this np.arange, these are the numbers I have generated. In the past, we have learned that Panda series is going to have only one column, right? So this is only one column, and these are basically indexes. So this way you can give your own indexes. So usually this kind of a data you will see, you may ask that, so what is the use of this? So if you are familiar with the stock market and all, right? So there you will see this kind of a date I would say. So date and price. So here we have given our own data. Otherwise, in real time, any stock price or anything you can, if you look into any websites, so there you will see, say, suppose say Infi stock price, 1400, 1420. So every day either it will increase or decrease. So similarly, I will have this kind of a date. Sorry, this kind of a data with respect to the dates. So this type of data you will see in the time series analysis. So basically in the time series analysis, they work on this kind of a data where they will check the previous prices and they will try to predict the future stock price, right? So that's why if you have seen the CNBC Awas or CNBC 18 or maybe NDTV Profit, business line and things like that, so their analyst will keep talking about this future prices of any stock. So they will try to analyze what was the price on this date and this date. So based on that, they will do some kind of analysis, right? So that's where you can see this type of a data. Fine. Now, say again, this is the same concept what we have learned. If you want to take this data, right, and store it for future use or later use for, later you want to update it or you want to send it to a friend or a colleague. So yes, you can take this data or this series dot to_CSV to_CSV. So there you will give your path wherever you want to store, right? Same concept. So this is our new file name. You can give your own file name. It is going to create. So let's execute and check. But for that, you need to make sure that until here you have the folders in your system, right? Right. Let's execute this. Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's take this path dummy until dummy. Okay, so yes, you can see 23/10/2021 and 11:51 current time. So if I open this, so yes, you can see here, right? So this is basically our date, as you can see here, and 0126. So these are the data that we have generated using NumPy, right? So yes, you can generate data here and export it to any folder or create a CSV file. So that later you can take it and use it according to your need. So how do I do that? Your data frame or time series, sorry, the series and dot to_CSV.